My name is Joe Biden. I'm lucky to be Conan O'Brien's friend, and I'm lucky. I guess it's because I'm Irish.
Yes, you've got the luck of the Irish. I have to ask you, being Irish, because when I do this podcast, I'm always looking for points of commonality. And being Irish is such a part of who I am. There are phrases that have lived on in my family. My mother always called me a bold stump. Conan, you're a bold stump. But I think there's so much of that that's just in who I am, and it's got to be a huge part of who you are, being Irish.
It really is, but I think it's because, think about it, the Irish, even once they got here and made it, they were still viewed as lesser because if they were Catholic.
Yes. Yeah.
My mother used to say, remember, Joey, the best drop of blood in you is Irish. Remember, you're a Biden. I'm thinking, who the hell's a Biden?
Yeah.
And that's not Irish.
Right.
Biden's not Irish.
Right.
It's kind of all about principle and pride.
Yes. It was instilled in us by my mother that we are proper Irish. We are lace curtain Irish. Now, my mother's father had been a policeman, Worcester, Massachusetts, directed traffic, made, I think, $55 a week, but was able to, my mother was able to go to Vassar College and then Yale Law School. So it was all about moving upward in our world. And it was very important for our mother that we were proper. And then I get into this business where I professionally make a fool of myself. She had to figure that out. But it's a lot about pride.
It's kind of expected, you think. I mean, look, for years, before our ancestors came, mine came in 1848. Mm-hmm. My mom is 100% Irish. My dad is a quarter Irish.
Yeah.
But, they got in those coffin ships in the 1850s, and they came leaving a sense of being always ridiculed and looked down on. And there was an enormous pride in our literature.
Yeah.
Whether you were a farmer or a poet, there was always, it's just something about, look, we know who we are.
Yeah.
We know who we are. My mother used to say, Joey, never bow, never bend, never yield, never.
She sounds tough.
My mother was 5'1".
5'1".
5'1", almost 5'2", and she was everybody's mother confessor. I show a picture of my mom. You got to come over to the Oval after this is over if you have a minute.
It's funny you're offering that, and your staff is all saying no, absolutely not.
Well,
because you know what? They've looked into my record.
Well, they looked into mine too, so we're okay. But there's a picture of my mom by my desk, and my mom is holding Barack's hand. Mm-hmm. On the night we get announced out in Chicago, 1 million people, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And my mother was everybody's mother confessor. Everybody would go to my mom for advice. And so my mom, she was hearing somebody's confession, figuratively speaking. She'd sit so you could see her profile when you came in the door, and she'd go like this. Like, keep moving.
Keep moving. Keep it moving.
I called her, and I said, the president asked me to be considered being vice president. I don't want to do that. I said, Barack, I don't want to be vice president.
Right.
Finally, he said, well, damn, it's only you.
There are no other choices.
And no, that's what he said to me. And so he said, go home and talk it over with your family. I was on the train. It was when he became the de facto nominee in August. Mm-hmm. So I go home, sit everybody down. Everybody wants me to do it. I didn't want to do it. I looked at my mom, who was living with him because my dad had passed. And she said, Joey, she said, let me get to something. Remember I called you and I asked you about what kind of guy he was, and you said he was honest and smart. I said, yeah, let me get this straight, honey. The first black man has a chance to be president, says he needs you, and you told him no?
Wow.
I said, whoa. Anyway, there's a picture of my mom when she wasn't even supposed to be out with 1 million people out in Chicago when we got announced. And we walk down, she walks off the stage, and there's a picture of her grabbing Barack's hand. She says, come on, honey, it's going to be okay. She walks out.
That's fantastic.
No, that was my mom.
But I mean, that's it doesn't matter what you achieve in this life. This is a big moment for me. I'm a huge history buff. I am an amateur presidential historian, and I've interviewed presidents in my day, but never a sitting U.S. president. So I want to get it on the record that this is a huge honor for me. It's a big deal. But I love that whoever you're talking to, and one of the reasons that I love doing this podcast so much of us are the same. I will do what my mother tells me to do to this day. At 92 years old, my mother tells me to do something, I'll do it. She may not like the way I do it, but no matter what I've achieved in this life, it's fascinating to me that you were waffling on the vice presidency, and your mother said, you're doing it.
She said, this guy says he wants your help, and you told him no? But my mother and my father was a really honorable guy. His phrase was, you're a man of your word. Without your word, you're not a man. Remember that. Remember that. That was my dad.
Yeah.
Everything with him was about the notion of just being honorable and straight. Never lectured it, just did it.
It's funny how we keep these people with us. I have on my desk, I did a performance at the Kennedy Library, in Massachusetts. And my parents were in the audience, and someone snapped a picture of the both of them laughing. They sent it to me, and I have that on my desk because I think that's the only reason I do what I do. It really did start when I was a kid in the 60s in a high chair, making them laugh. That was my first audience, and those are the people I'm trying to impress, and I'm still trying to impress them, you know?
Well, it's interesting. How many kids in the family?
There's 6 of us.
When my dad died, everybody thought that I should be the one to do the eulogy. We all sat and wrote it, the 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
What stunned me was, my dad was a man who came up in the 30s in high school and was, you didn't tell your daughter how much you loved her and always hugging her. You just...
that's it. Yeah, it's generational. It didn't happen.
But so what amazed me is the different relationship he had with each one of us.
Mm-hmm. My
sister Valerie he loved her and adored her, thought she was beautiful, and she is, but he never say it. He didn't say it out loud. So when we're writing the eulogy together, all of us, or my brother Jimmy, who was more like my dad than any of us, he said, well, talk about the time Dad took me flying as a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
He took you flying.
Yeah.
But he said, now don't tell anybody. He went down to Newcastle County Airport, rented an airplane. None of us ever knew it.
Right.
I mean, so the different...
You all saw different versions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't my dad. He didn't preach it. He just did it. It was about integrity. You had to be honest.